This is our news, the weekend edition. And on the broadcast tonight, the social services budget set to increase in the wake of Hurricane Dorian. Plus, Pine Ridge MP Frederick McAlpine weighs in on the Prime Minister's claim of the opposition politicizing matters in the wake of Hurricane Dorian. And the Small Business Development Center says fast approvals of financing for storm-ravaged businesses.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks so much for joining us. Topping news tonight, the Ministry of Social Services has spent millions in the wake of Hurricane Dorian, and its budget is set to increase even further. Social Services Minister Frankie Campbell said they're set to pay out almost $1.5 million in uniform assistance alone. Our Julian Gray has more.
More than $200,000 in emergency food assistance was rendered for the month of September alone. Social Services Minister Frankie Campbell said the increase is due to the impact of Hurricane Dorian, and that figure is just the beginning of the millions they'll need to assist those in need.
There was this big discussion about uniform assistance being $270,000 for last year. Uniform assistance coming from Hurricane Dorian will be $1.5 million. And so that is an indication, because 10,000 children were displaced. If you multiply 10,000 by 100, an average of $150, that's $1.5 million.
The significant increase in budget is being funded by insurance, gifts, and donations, Campbell said, as a portion of the IDB's $100 million loan was set aside for social assistance. They've been able to work swiftly with providing help. Campbell added that they've had to shuffle workers from the urban renewal centers to help with shelters. While the plan is to house evacuees for as long as necessary, the Social Services Minister said they're now working on a plan to begin rebuilding homes.
The shelter managing is ongoing. We are now trying to shift gears to focus on returning persons to homes. And so, as we talk to persons who want to give, we're asking for building material and equipment, because we have to pivot to that if we intend to get people out of the shelters.
Campbell thanked the first responders and volunteers for their help in the wake of the deadly storm and said they will continue to ensure that as first responders help others, their needs too will be taken care of.
While our first responders are out there saving lives and risking their own lives, they need to have a sense of assurance that something has been set aside for them. So you want to imagine an officer putting in his time on the morning shift only to have to go and stand on the line to get some social assistance, water, etc., etc. That ought not be. And so we're going to revise our protocols as we prepare and anticipate taking care of other persons, that we will also prepare to take care of ourselves and all of the first responders.
Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Julian Gray.
Grand Bahama Member of Parliament Frederick McAlpine is labeling Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis's claim of the opposition politicizing Hurricane Dorian as nothing more than unfair criticism. Our Jasmine Brown reports.
I was there, and I'll say this. The opposition, as far as I'm concerned, was not ferocious enough with regards to the government stating that they politicalized it. Because when we were in opposition, we were very fierce, and I thought we were very political.
McAlpine was responding to a row that erupted in the House of Assembly on Wednesday morning. A shouting match between the Prime Minister and Leader of the Opposition, Philip Brave Davis, erupted after Dr. Minnis accused the opposition of politicizing matters of life and death and engaging in political gimmicks and games in the wake of Hurricane Dorian. Minnis also accused the Progressive Liberal Party of wearing party colors while responding to the hurricane. Davis stood on a point of order denying Minnis' claims and insisted that the PLP flew the Bahamian flag wherever they went. Davis also said that after he received no word from Minnis on the situation, he reached out to the Prime Minister on multiple occasions requesting information on the government's plans, but did not get a response. McAlpine says he does not share the Prime Minister's view.
I really thought that the leader of the opposition during this time of Hurricane Dorian has been very much amicable and amicable with regards to how he has dealt with the government in their tardiness and response to this hurricane.
McAlpine added that the PM should be the last to talk about playing politics in the wake of a storm.
I thought that the opposition was being very kind to the government in terms of giving them time to do what they needed to do. And but in terms of saying that we were political, when we were in opposition and Hurricane Matthew passed through, I thought that the then opposition leader, Prime Minister now, Hubert Minnis, was quite strong and quite clear about what he was doing and how he did it.
Reporting for R News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks a lot, Jasmine. Well, meanwhile, Small Business Development Center Executive Director Davina Grant says the loans, grants, and equity financing being considered for businesses on the storm-ravaged islands of Grand Bahama and Abaco should not take more than 10 days to be approved.
Prior to the storm, we already had 102 startups signed up as clients of the Access Accelerator and 51 existing businesses. So that's basically over 200 persons that already signed up from Abaco. Likewise, we had nearly 800 persons signed up in Grand Bahama. So a significant amount of individuals prior to the storm were already seeking assistance from the Access Accelerator for their businesses. Now those same clients will need special attention, at least the lion's share of them, to redraft their plans in a way that makes sense given post-Dorian initiatives.
The government has allocated $10 million from the Dormant Accounts Fund to aid in restarting businesses on Grand Bahama and Abaco. Grant said they are excited to begin this initiative and encourage those affected to reach out as soon as possible.
Our internal process of vetting will take a maximum of 4 to 5 business days. The external process has also been committed to a maximum of 5 business days, so that the total turnaround time for funding above $50,000, the expectation is that approvals will happen within 10 business days. Those of you who are already a part of the SBDC process, you know that this is unheard of. And so we appreciate all of the work of the partners that would have been done over the last couple of weeks to refine this process so that we can make this happen.
Well, as foreign aid continues to play a big role in assisting residents of Abaco rebuild after Hurricane Dorian, one response group is making some remarkable things happen for kids. Arka Joaquin has their story.
I'm standing here through a tiny corner in Marsh Harbor, and if you look all around me, despite it being already 5 weeks in Dorian, it looks as though the storm has just passed. But over here, the heartwarming story of how volunteers have literally come from all over the world to lend a helping hand.
They've come from countries like Australia, Mexico, and the U.S. Donning purple t-shirts and hard hats, volunteers from Hands and Hearts Smart Response Group have set up camp in Marsh Harbor, Abaco, with the mission of bringing relief.
I've been here for about a week now, and some of the staff members have been here a little longer, but basically today is what we're doing is this starting to try to clear out some of the schools, and we're going to fully gut them, bring out like all the debris, and then hopefully rebuild them eventually.
We found the group gutting one of the buildings that houses Every Child Counts School in Marsh Harbor. The school suffered great loss with the destruction of its buildings, vehicles, and electronics, in addition to the loss of one of its teachers who was killed during the storm. But with all smiles, the volunteers from All Hands and Hearts got to work, carrying out the initial phase of rebuilding this school, which serves as the center of education for many students with special needs.
It's very mind-blowing, actually. I was at other parts of the island, and this part was hit the worst, for sure. And it's kind of, I think, overwhelming for everyone of the Bahamas as well. They don't know where to start, and you just got to pick one thing up and start moving it, hey? to get it out?
There's a lot of devastation all across the Northern Island, especially. I traveled from the north to the southern. It's definitely a different ecosystem, just looking at the trees and everything compared to the buildings, though. The devastation here in Marsh Harbor is very much evident here, and what we're here to do right now is to make an impact in the schools. There's lots of other organizations here that are here to go and restore people's homes, but even with homes, they need some place for their kids to go to, and that'll be the schools. That's how you get people to come back to the island.
Foreign aid has played a huge role in the recovery process for Abaco so far. And for these volunteers, they're sticking it out like the locals, living in another damaged school as they work to fix this one. According to Anna, the organization plans on seeing this project through to the end, at least until the students are able to walk back into the classrooms.
All Hands and Hearts, I believe, will be here for a few years at least. So I think as of this point, yeah. Yep. So everyone's different on how long they get to stay. Some people can only stay for a couple of days. Some people come for months. Right. So, yeah.
Where are you guys staying here?
We're staying at another school. It's just down the road. We've just gutted that building and did mold sanitation. And so we were able to stay in there. So that's where we slept last night.
You basically set up camp there then?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to also be working on that school and getting that up and running. And then when we've got that up and running, then we'll be able to move to another place and the kids can go back to school there.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
One man is dead, the victim of an alleged suicide. Police on Grand Bahama say the man was found hanging by a rope from a tree at the rear of Sir Jack Haywood Senior High School yesterday afternoon. Paramedics were called to the scene and pronounced the man dead. Investigations continue. Meantime, police on Grand Bahama are searching for 5 missing people from East End. They include 3-year-old twins Adam and Aaron Cooper. The pair are described as standing 2 feet 5 inches tall with brown complexion and both of slim build. Then there's 51-year-old Albert Alexander Bridgewater, who stands 5 feet 10 inches tall, of dark brown complexion and a slim build. Also missing is 43-year-old Darnita Cooper. She's described as standing 5 feet 4 inches tall with a dark brown complexion and slim build. And 70-year-old Catherine Lynn Armstrong is also missing. She is Caucasian and stands 5 feet 4 inches tall with a slim build. Now anyone with any information on the whereabouts of these people are asked to contact the police. Well, still ahead tonight, an Abaco MP talks about the rebuilding efforts on that island. That story and more when our news, the Weekend Edition, returns.